Hello, hi, Happy New Year. This is the first William Thunder Talks video of 2026. Great to see you. Come in. Right here, we're going to talk about things. I have a reflection question to get the ball rolling with. How do you rest, right? I kind of done a little rest. Wasn't here for a couple weeks. And I thought this was interesting to kind of bring up because for me, I got a certain pace in my life. I keep going, right? I was working with a friend of mine, another coach of mine, and we were working on doing lots of consultations. And then I was doing my college work, getting all of that in for the end of the year. And I was also getting into a new job. Starting up kind of a routine with a couple other clients coaching. And yeah, I think about like doing all of that, and I think about like stopping in all of that and like resting in all of that, because I think when I think about rest, and I've done a similar video, I'm going to link to this one of like how does resting feel. I'm going to link to that. It'll be interesting to see the contrast for myself. It's 8 months apart now, but I think about how to rest. Because I think what's really exhausting about like the lives we live, right? Sometimes it's physically exhausting when we have to run around and do a lot of things. Sometimes it's mentally exhausting. We have to remember a bunch of things. But something that I keep coming back to when I'm thinking about how do I rest? Rest is like really the ability to kind of let things go and have your zone out time. Okay, so I don't know if you guys ever had this when you were in school, you're a kid or whatever, but maybe it's my neurodivergent tendencies, but your brain kind of floats off sometimes, right? You have that kind of daydreaming time where you're like spacing off into the distance. I call it the void, playfully, to enter the void, to be in the void. But there isn't really any thoughts sometimes, but sometimes there are thoughts and you're just like daydreaming. You're not here mentally, but you're like not on your phone or whatever, right? So that actually in a weird way is like part of rest. I think that's one of the reasons why like nature is really good for us. One of the reasons like looking at the ocean is really good for us, because it kind of inspires us to think more beyond the moment, right? It inspires us to think bigger and be like, you know, what is this all about? What are we all about? Like, what's going on here? What's beyond the horizon, right? Or beyond this mass forest, or beyond this beautiful landscape. And I think for me, what's felt very restful and how you can rest, I think, is to be in those places that like remind you of the scale of life. Because it can be really easy to be like, hey man, like all my problems are so much and so overwhelming, and I feel bad and I feel terrible and I can't handle this anymore, right? I relate to that so much. I've been there. And through kind of getting perspective on how life is by being in nature, for me anyway, it really reminds me, it's like, wow, like my problems, all these problems I have are like trying to get more coaching clients in, or like doing all these other things like exercise and stuff. I'm like trying to get stronger, lifting weights, and I'm like thinking, what's my like YouTube trajectory for the next year, of like what I want to make and what I want to do and what I want to share with you guys. And I kind of just like let that stuff go. I think I have a lot of like aspirations and ambition, but it's really rest is like kind of like knowing when to like not think about that stuff and go into spaces and environments. I think environments are really key in triggering these kind of thoughts, is being in spaces that are really far from what you're doing, have nothing to do with what you're doing, and are just like big and open expanses and take you out of the brain rot that we all have in front of us on our phones. And the kind of stress day-to-day life introduces, right? We have so many abstract things we have to remember, so many abstract things we have to do. You know, I'm getting back into it for this year. I'm thinking I have to book my MOT for my car, and I've got my dentist coming up next month, and then I've got to go and have my car serviced. Normal, just boring admin, life admin. I bought new shoes today, just not fun ones, just practical ones because my old shoes were not good. Just admin stuff, right? And it's like fun and cool to like tick that stuff off the list, though some of us may find it boring. But like that's not rest, right? That's like remembering things, doing things, being zoned in on a specific point versus having our perspective kind of widen out, right? So I'm a big believer that you rest when you do activities where you can widen your perspective. Because the world, our life, asks us to zoom right in and focus on a specific thing in front of us. But we don't get enough of this wide view, this wide perspective, this open, expansive feeling. So go and look at a cool view. Go up a hill. Go to the ocean. Go somewhere you can see a real big view and think about kind of your little point of focus versus the larger expanse of like maybe what you're not getting, right? Because I feel a lot of the more we focus in on these kind of really specific points and we do these tasks, right, we kind of lose track of like what the point and everything is, right? Because a lot of that come with struggle and suffering and failure and challenge. And for me, I've always felt like that balance is really important. There's a lot of really great like neuroscience, biology, psychology that says like looking at nature literally releases regulatory hormones and neurochemicals in your brain. You look at a leaf, that feels good, basically. You look at a horizon, that feels good. And I think with how a lot of our lives are framed, and I was thinking about this in terms of working from home successfully, since it's a sizable portion of what I do. I think the real successful working from home is to create a structure where you're not too much in one place, because I think one of the challenges with working from home is that you have to initiate the different environments yourself because everything's in the same place, and then it's hard to rest. You can't rest. I found this when I exclusively worked from home. There was less rest. I felt burnt out just working from home. So this is why I say when I'm thinking about how to rest, we need the environment change, right? Which is why some people like not working from home, right? You go to the office, you work in the office, you come home, you rest. Nice, cool, makes sense, because a division of those environments allows our brain to actually rest and digest, right? There's the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. Those two, one's responsible for arousal, one's responsible for digestion and relaxation. And we need both of those to be kind of in balance, right? Things that regulate those are doing a grounding meditation practice, looking at horizons, being in nature, doing physical activity if you are physically able to do it, or whatever you can within what you are physically able to do. That helps regulate those systems a lot. And, you know, what arouses you is, you know, like learning about what's happening in the world. Whether you're on, you believe some things that are happening are good, some things that are happening are bad. Being locked into kind of like international political affairs can definitely have you in a state of arousal or frustration or anger. Having arguments with people, doing a lot of work and not stopping, all of that can activate that part of your nervous system. And then progressively burnout will approach and approach and approach. So it can definitely feel different for individuals, right? Some people who hate nature and really anxious about bugs, that might be an arousing environment where they're actually quite anxious in nature. So it's interesting to find the balance. Different for everyone. But rest is super important. It's something that I think is going to be more and more important as we move through this era of remote working, assuming AI doesn't make all those jobs obsolete. Or maybe they invent new jobs. I don't know. But that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I've been Will. You've been wonderful. First video of the year done. Let's see what we can do, guys. Let's see what we can do together. I'm excited to see what can happen in 2026 for all of us. For you watching, for me, I'm just going to come in and do my best with what I got. and we're going to see where we land. So all we can control is when we roll the dice. Even we can't control that all the time. The more times we take a chance, put an effort in, the more chance we have for it to be a nat 20. And I do love a nat 20. So I'm going to keep rolling dice this year. And I hope you do in your own way. I've been wonderful. You've been Will. See you in the next one.